Hey guys.
Hey, welcome.
So this is the first time that we are using this software called Zoom. So bear with us if anything crazy happens or if there's any kind of stall, because we've got all these boxes and gadgets all over the place. So we're going to be doing our best. So I apologize if it doesn't run completely smoothly.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of these trainings and we use Google Hangouts. So if you've been with us for a while, then you've probably seen some of those, but we've heard really great things about Zoom, and so we wanted to give it a try. So we're going to try to do these trainings. Peter wants to do them weekly. I am setting my intention for doing them monthly.
Yes, we will see about that.
So let us know if you're here. I guess there's a chat box and a discussion box. You can type in either one, or a chat box and a question box. So maybe type random stuff in the chat box with each other, and then if you have a question, post it in the Q&A box. And we're going to answer all the questions at the very end, but we might answer a few as we go if it is really pressing, I guess. And we have some slides too, so it's not just going to be us talking at you the whole entire time.
Yep, for sure. Okay, should we just...
I think we should get started.
Let's just get started. The very first thing that we want to kick it off with is to have you leave what's going to be best? I guess leaving a chat, just chatting us. What is the kind of like the number one processed food, or maybe a couple, that you're currently eating that you're trying to cut out?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where we want to start things off. So just go ahead and submit right now what you are currently struggling with. And as we see them come in here, then we can start to field those. And then we're also going to get into the steps. And then toward the end, we're going to answer all of your questions. So once we start kind of going through it, we were going to wait till the end, weren't we?
Yep, that's what I said.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to, once again.
Should we introduce ourselves and kind of talk about the subject, or?
Yeah, sure.
You want to take it off of us?
No, that's cool.
Okay, so if you're new, I feel like I noticed a lot of your names. So if you're not new, bear with us. So I'm Sarah. This is Peter, and we run theseasonaldiet.com, and we help people eat more local, seasonal, organic foods. Basically eating more produce that grows where you are. And so today we're going to be talking about processed foods, because that's the opposite, right, of eating seasonal produce. So we want to help you transition from processed foods and more to whole food. So a big thing that we work on is energy, helping people gain more energy and digestion along with skin. But today, two of the biggest things when it comes to processed food is it takes your energy and it's really hard to digest. So we want to help you transition out of that and save you some time in the kitchen, because everybody knows processed foods aren't great for your health, but you might not know how to get off of them without spending all of your time in the kitchen.
Yes. And then Sarah also wanted to have us share one fun fact about us. And the first one is that Sarah loves chocolate, and she tends to get it all over me whenever she eats it, and herself, and usually the blanket.
I'm pretty notorious for eating chocolate, dark chocolate, and somehow it always ends up all over me. I don't know how I do it. And then one fun fact about Peter is, I don't know, I didn't prepare one. Peter's not really that into clothes. He will wear kind of whatever. He's pretty open, but he has one pair of shorts that he loves, and they're so old, and I can't get him to get rid of them or get a new pair because they're so comfortable.
I think we decided, or I did last night, that they're probably the oldest piece of clothing that I have.
I feel like guys are like that, where they just hang on to clothing that's comfortable. If it's comfortable, they want it.
They just find their thing that works, I guess.
All right, cool. So I see some things coming in: wraps, tortillas, tortilla chips, baked goods.
Baked goods, that's a big one.
Yes. Processed health food, tofu, vegan ice cream, fake meat.
Yes.
Cool. We're
all really good.
All great. We're gonna cover all of those and how to transition from them. So.
Cool. All
Should we
right.
switch over?
Let's switch over. Okay, so we've got some slides prepared. Okay, let's see here. All right. So, as we kind of introed earlier, this is, let's see here. This is the intro question, and we've already gotten a lot of responses, which is great. Okay, so let's just go ahead and just dive right into it. And let us know if the slides aren't showing right now. Once again, first time using this, so it's kind of overwhelming over here at the moment. Okay, so step number one, processed foods, and just thinking about how much you're really, honestly, truly consuming right now. Because the reason why this is so important is because you want to be able to set reasonable goals for yourself and what your path is going to look like as you move forward and you're kind of cutting out processed foods. I know that a lot of you guys joining with us, your abilities and skill levels and experience, they're kind of like all over the spectrum. Some of you guys are like way at the end. You're still eating processed foods, but they're more healthy processed foods. And then a lot of you guys are just starting out, which is great too. You got to start sometime, just like we did. But it's kind of like, it's good to just kind of check in because your approach is going to be a lot different when you're going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's great. I totally agree. And, we're saying, how much are you really eating? And it's easy. I've been asking in our Facebook group all week about processed foods and what you're eating. And I've seen a lot of people kind of say, I'm not eating any processed foods, or I don't eat that much. And I kind of want to call BS on that, because I think a lot of us, myself included, are eating more processed foods than we'd like to admit, or that we even realize, because we do it unconsciously. So just take a second right now and just think about, maybe what you've had today and your meals, and how much of it was processed, and then how much of it was a real whole food. And once you can figure that out, then you'll know where you need to go to next.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very good. And it's also, at this point, it's going to be important for us to really start to define, what are we talking about when we're mentioning processed food? Because there's technically, like most food really is processed. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as you're taking it from nature, and even just doing like a flash pasteurized, or you're taking like a raw almond and you're making almond butter, like technically, that is the very beginning of becoming a processed food. But it doesn't, just because it starts at early part of the journey being processed, doesn't automatically mean that it's unhealthy, mm-hmm. And so that's why it's kind of like a complicated topic, and we need to kind of define that, because there's really a whole range when it comes to not only just ingredients, but also just the actual products that are made up with the ingredients.
Yeah. So in the most basic form, the most basic way to define it, it's something that's no longer in its natural state. It's refined. It usually has more than one ingredient, usually more than 5 ingredients, and it comes in a package, right? So it's not something you're going to go and just get out of your garden. It's not going to be the ingredient. It's going to have ingredients.
Yeah, good. All right. So then the next step is going to be to kind of figure out how they rank. And once again, coming back to the spectrum, it being really healthy versus not being very healthy at all.
Mm-hmm. And so today I posted some chips in our Facebook group, and I was asking about them. And while they all are processed, one product was healthier than the other one. And that's kind of what we want to help you guys with, because some processed foods are going to be healthier. And in those times when you can't make your own food, those are going to be what we want you to go after. And it's also important to figure out how they rank, so you know what your next step is. Because I imagine all of you are at different spots. And if you're eating the not so healthy processed foods, then your next step is going to be to go to the healthier processed foods. And if you're already eating the really healthy processed food, it might be time for you to move to the whole foods. And we're going to give you guys some ideas for that.
Yeah. All right. So here's kind of at the beginning of our spectrum that I keep talking about, healthy. So some attributes of a healthy processed food, like Sarah was saying, contains whole food ingredients. So ingredients that you recognize, that's the most important thing. A fewer, shorter ingredient list, which is also another really big red flag. There's a lot of products that they just go on and on and on. And it's like the text has to get so small just to fit it on there sometimes. Unrefined, and sugar and oil is not the first ingredient. And this is like another point that I want to bring up is the order in which ingredients are listed on like prepackaged foods is by weight. So the earlier it shows up, like if you see like brown rice syrup, that's going to be the heaviest ingredient. And if it's number one, that means that it's primarily made up like by weight of brown rice syrup. Mm-hmm. So always important to really think about.
Yep. All right. So then we have the not so healthy processed foods. So these are going to contain a lot of thickeners, additives, chemicals, and things that you don't recognize. Artificial flavor, natural colors. They're going to have longer ingredients lists. They're going to be refined, and then sugar and oil are going to be the first ingredient. So pretty much everything that Peter just said about healthy processed foods, it's going to be the opposite.
Yeah, it's like it's flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I guess just kind of pushing through step number 3 in our process here of eliminating processed foods is going to be to start, well, okay, so this is kind of like if you're already mostly off of processed foods and you're eating more like healthy processed foods. So like the ones that kind of have the qualities that we were just talking about. And then moving in the direction of replacing them with more like whole foods.
Exactly. So if you are currently buying, almond milk, so maybe you're switching to almond milk, you've been drinking almond milk, you're buying that from the store, and a lot of almond milk has additives, carrageenan, artificial flavors. So if you're already buying that, you've been buying that, now might be a good time for you to switch to a homemade variety. And if you're maybe you're buying cow's milk, or what's a better example of like a processed food, like
maybe like cereal or granola.
Yeah, if you're currently buying like Special K, that would be an unhealthy processed food because it has a lot of refined flours and ingredients as the first ingredient. So then you would switch to maybe a purely Elizabeth whole food based oat cereal.
Yeah. And then maybe even like a halfway point, just because I've been there, is I used to get at Costco, I know a really popular choice is Nature's Path. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like all of like the smoothie spots that I've ever been to, it's like they always have this same granola, and it's like really sweet, really crunchy. And it's like really popular, but it's kind of in the middle. It's not, it's kind of like on its way to being like a truly healthy processed food.
Right. So we just want you guys to think of the transition, and like if you're currently buying, run-of-the-mill processed foods, you're going to want to switch to the healthier alternatives. And then if you're already at the healthier alternatives, you're going to want to switch to the more whole food, make it your own, right? And we're going to cover coming up, what do you do when you're in a pinch? What are some specific examples? But we just kind of wanted to walk you through the steps, because one thing is if you switch, if currently you're buying whatever, you're not looking at the ingredients, and you're like, okay, I want to cut out processed foods, I'm going to make my own. It's going to be really hard to make that transition because currently you're probably not making very much of your own food. I know when Peter and we first changed our diet, that was about, I don't even know. I never changed the years, it's always like 6 years. It's always been 6 years.
I think 6 years.
When we first changed our diet, I remember Peter, he was trying to make everything from scratch. But before then, he barely made anything from scratch. And so what happened? You burnt out.
Totally.
And that's what we don't want for you guys.
It's too much too soon.
Too much too soon. Exactly. So I want to share some ways that you can make some staples from Whole Foods on your own. So one big one is ketchup. If you buy Heinz ketchup, it has a lot of crap in it, artificial flavors. There are healthier options at the grocery store, but ketchup is so easy to make homemade.
Yes, it is. All right. So let's see here. So for the homemade ketchup, I just wrote down the ingredients here. There's no quantities, and we are going to be sharing the recipe, like the actual recipes of the quantities and steps in either, I think it's going to be in tomorrow's email.
Yeah, we're going to, everyone who signed up, you'll get the replay. If you're coming in late, you'll get the replay, and we're going to give you these recipes that we're going to share. But real quick, I wanted to let you know that you can make your own homemade ketchup recipe. You don't need a food processor. You don't need a blender. These are the ingredients that you need. I'm sure you guys recognize all of them. They're very easy, and you can just mix it together in a bowl. And it will last a month. It will last an entire month due to the apple cider vinegar. So it's a great one. And this recipe, well, the recipe's not there, but I've made it so many times. It makes a cup, but you can always double it or triple it. And I just store it in a mason jar. So very easy. So ketchup is one that you should be making on your own. It's very affordable and it's very simple.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at another recipe. We've got homemade almond milk. Now, making your own milk, it's kind of like one more thing that you got to do. But when you kind of like reach that point, making your own is so easy, and the taste is like almost like not even really comparable. I think, Sarah, you were telling me something about 2% yesterday.
Oh yeah. So store-bought almond milk. Most of them, there's more coming out every day, which I think is awesome. A lot of them without additives. But most store-bought almond milk has less than 2% of almonds in the milk that you're drinking. Most of it is full of water and just other additives to make it thicker. And we're gonna talk about what those thickeners are doing to your health and your digestion in a second. But almond milk, Peter and we started making it ourselves about, how long was that? Like, I would say like 3 or 4 years ago, we got really serious about making it on our own. And you will need a good blender, right? And you will need a nut milk bag. You can get those on Amazon, really easy. And so we started making our own, and I have to tell you guys this story. So we started making our own. We've been making our own. It's very quick, very easy. But 3 weekends ago, Peter and I help out at a local farm, and we were making smoothies. And almond milk is fine to make for your family, but when you're making smoothies for 200 people, it's a bit much. So we just bought almond milk from Trader Joe's, right? And so we made the smoothie. We were making the smoothies, and I was talking to some of the little kids, and they were so cute. They were talking about how they love smoothies and how it's so great and what's in the smoothie. And I was telling them, and I told them about almond milk, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I hate almond milk." I was like, "Oh, really? Like, you don't like it? Why not?" And they're like, "Just tastes really bad." I was like, "Huh, that's weird," because me and Peter are like, we don't mind it. And so I asked them, "How do you guys use it?" They're like, "Oh, we just drink it, and it's just awful." And so I was like, okay, whatever. Kids say, kids can be picky. And so after the event, we had some almond milk left over. And so, we weren't going to waste it. So we brought it home, and I can't remember. I think maybe we had, I know. Sometimes I make protein shakes. And so I'll just use some protein powder and some almond milk. And I usually use the almond milk we make from scratch. But we had that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to use this up so it doesn't go bad. I made it. I took one drink, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is disgusting. How did we used to drink this for so long? It was so thick, and it's a totally different color. It's like it looks like paint or something. When you make your own and you start doing that, you'll realize the difference. Now, if you're not even buying it, that might be a first step, is to switch from dairy. But if you are buying it and you've been buying it, I highly recommend making your own.
Yeah, can't recommend that enough. Okay, so other than almond milk, you can also make homemade protein bars, and a lot of us, Sarah and I included, eat protein bars every week, or even just energy bars. I feel like I don't eat necessarily protein bars like specifically, but I eat square bars. I eat one of those probably like once a week, and maybe like Lara bars, maybe like once or twice a month. But this is a great recipe that you can make for like a homemade version. If you're currently kind of like relying on them and you want to get off of like buying boxes of them, or just kind of filling up your basket every time you go to the store.
Yep. And so we will send out the exact recipe. This is just a fun one to make on the weekends too, just so you have something to snack on. Peter and I aren't big snackers, but sometimes we want a snack and we need something in between meals, and it's just good to have a whole food option. I talked a lot about protein a few weeks ago in our group, but if you're on a plant-based diet, and you're worried about protein, there are a lot of whole foods. If you don't want to use brown rice protein powder, a lot of nuts are high in protein, lentils are high in protein, beans are high in protein, almond butters you could also use. But with the protein powders, they're actually not that bad for you, even though they are processed, as long as you get ones that are very simple. So, I'd be happy to reach out afterwards if you want to know what protein powders we use, but they usually have 1 to 2 ingredients, right? Like all the processed foods we're recommending, brown rice protein and then vanilla, hemp protein and then vanilla, maybe some coconut sugar, but they're not full of all these additives and natural flavors and weird ingredients.
Yeah, like thickeners for consistency. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So,
are you guys still with us?
Yes.
I know we've been kind of blowing through all of this. I see some questions. We will get to them. Keep filling them in. Yes, I will share. We're here. Good. I will share the protein powders. I don't know how I'll share them. How should I share them with them? Send me an IM, Facebook message me. I know we're on Facebook together. So do that. You can also reach out in our Facebook group. Maybe we'll put it in the replay too.
Yeah, like
for people, some links to make it really easy. Okay, I'm glad you guys are still with us. I know we're kind of going through this a little bit quickly, but we'll be sure to get everything. Yes, that's a great idea, Robin. I'll post the recipes in the Facebook files too. And I don't know about the ketchup, but the other recipes are on our website too. So if you kind of go to our website and look through, you can find them there as well. So yeah, let's keep going. All right. You take it over, babe.
Okay. All right. So just wanted to pose the question that you might be wondering: how much is too much when it comes to processed foods? And of course, the answer is going to be, well, it varies. It just kind of depends person to person. But we all kind of know what the goal here is, and it's to get towards eating mostly whole, unrefined foods.
Yep, exactly. So we recommend that this is what we do, right? And so everything that we recommend, it's things that we've had success with or other people we know have. Take it or leave it. It's just kind of like our best advice. So what we do and we usually recommend is no more than 2 processed foods per meal, right? So obviously the ideal is to have none, right? But we're all busy. We all have lives, and making everything from scratch isn't always an option. So for Peter and myself, one example would be if we're having tacos, right, for dinner, we might have tortillas and salsa, but we would cook the beans ourselves. Or
we'd have like wraps, like brown rice wraps with maybe like hummus inside. But we would kind of cap it at that. Like we wouldn't do 2 of them. What would be like another example?
So for like breakfast or like brunch or something, we would have granola, but then we would make the almond milk ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we would have like a smoothie with it, which would all be whole foods except for maybe the protein powder.
Yeah. And I think really just kind of like in general, trying to get from unhealthy processed foods to healthy processed foods, that's a great first step. I mean, that should just be like your only focus right now. Just keep it like really simple and just transitioning.
Yes, exactly. I think that's great.
Yeah, because it doesn't really require that much additional work other than just kind of being conscious about it, maybe trying a different store, and just reading the ingredients a little bit more in depth.
Yep. I think that's great. Let's talk about the effects.
All right.
So what are processed foods really doing to your health? So like I said before, Peter and I, we really focus on digestion because we both struggled all growing up with poor digestion. And so when you eat processed foods, your body doesn't recognize them as food. And when that happens, they don't digest properly. They cause inflammation in your stomach. And inflammation causes almost every disease is linked to inflammation. The processed foods are also very low in nutrients, right? So when you're eating them, you're getting the calories that usually come from the top allergens like corn and soy and wheat. But your nutrition bar, if you think of your nutrition as being totally full to totally empty, when you eat processed food, it's totally empty, but then the calories are totally full. So you're eating more calories and not getting a lot of nutrients.
That's a good way of putting it. The way I kind of think about this, like what does it really do into your health? And I would say that processed foods, the unhealthy processed foods especially, they're not improving it. So they are not moving that needle in the direction of like where you want your health to be and what you have for health goals. And I would say like at best, like your health is staying the same. Even after transitioning to healthy foods, it's just kind of like a smaller shift. But then after you can get to the healthy processed foods, trying to get more to whole foods, that's when you're really going to see the results. And so really just trying to like tip the odds into your favor.
Yep, totally. So, I mean, everybody knows processed foods aren't great, right? You're not eating them because you want to get healthy. You're eating them because they're easy and they're convenient. And so, let's talk about where you might get stuck in those tricky situations. So one situation where Peter and I rely on processed foods more than other is vacation. So we're getting ready to go on vacation and it can be really tricky, right? It's not always possible to bring your own food and be prepared. Like, what about an airplane? I totally get it. So one thing that Peter and I always do is we have a juicer, so we do make juice a lot. But if you don't, you could use your blender. So before flights, I always make green juice. So we get those greens in first thing. And then, if we are eating processed foods afterwards, at least we got those green juices in. If we're on a road trip or driving and going to be in the car for a long time, we'll make green smoothies and we will bring those in the car. So get a good tumbler and bring those with you. Also for vacation, fresh fruit, vegetables, hummus, those are all really great snacks. Make some muffins ahead of time or even trail mix.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, that covers vacation for sure. Snacks, I mean, once again, I'm just kind of transitioning toward more healthy snacks. That kind of covers that department. But then like lack of planning, like especially like when you get busy, that one's just kind of like, I'm not sure what I want to say about this one. I mean, planning is everything when it comes to like being like really healthy. Cause like the only way to get like really, really healthy, like the healthiest like you could ever be is like you really gotta amp it up in the planning department. Cause I know Sarah and I like, this is something that like we really have to work at. And like we're busy and sometimes like we're really busy too. Kind of like beyond busy, like this week was just like nuts, but it's just become a non-negotiable for us. I mean, we do have each other's best interest and, we're in each other's corner so we can, always like make it a top priority. But planning, it all comes down to planning and just being on top of it, making it like you have to really want it, and it's important and you can do it. And yeah, I mean, this is a key ingredient.
Definitely. The healthiest people in the world, the most successful people, they're planners. They know how to plan. They do it. They make it a priority. And like Peter was saying, yeah, we're super busy. We know you guys are super busy. It's just the society we live in. We're trying to do too much and take on too much. But we all make time for what's important at the end of the day, right? We all find the time to get on Facebook, to watch TV, to spend time with people who are important to us. And so to show up best for you guys, to show up best for others, we plan and we take care of our health, and we definitely suggest you guys do the same. But when you are busy and you forget to plan and something comes up, that's when you're going to want to reach for those healthier foods, which also is temptations, right? So one thing that I hear so much from my coaching clients is how tempted they are by the foods that are in their house. So they're trying to cut out crackers. They're trying to cut out ice cream and candy and all of these things, but then they see it in their cupboard, in their fridge. And I say to them, like I'm going to say to you, is get that stuff out of your house, because if it's in your house, you're going to want it. Peter and I, we are no stronger in the willpower department than you are.
It's true.
Like at all. The thing that sets us apart is if you came over to our house right now, you wouldn't find anything in here. Like you'd find a bunch of vegetables, some rice, some dried beans,
That's like part of the plan. It's like we only keep what we actually need in the house, because otherwise we're going to find some excuse to eat it.
Yeah, and like when things get busy, you're going to go for what's easy. For me, I'm going to do the same thing. Like if we have granola in the house and it's lunchtime and I've been working and on calls all day, I'm going to grab the granola over making a salad. You better believe it. So when it comes to temptations, as much as you can, keep that stuff out of the house. I know a lot of times something goes on sale and you want to stock up on it, your favorite bar or candy or ice cream, but don't do it. It's not worth it. It's worth spending the money if it's more expensive than eating a bunch of it. It will save you in the long run. So I also wanted to talk about, Trader Joe's. That's a big one that people shop at. And when you're shopping at Trader Joe's, it's kind of like temptation and like a healthy junk food store, I guess I would say. So like look out for the ingredients, look for organic. Although like when you're going for a snack, when you haven't planned and that hummus is looking so good, just be sure that, canola oil isn't the first ingredient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then within like the canola oil, just checking to see if it's organic. Cause I know that they have like one or two, or maybe it's changed, or organic hummuses, and got to get that organic canola oil in there for sure.
All right. So if you have any questions, we're almost at the Q&A. Mm-hmm. So be sure to put them in the chat box and we'll get them.
Coming in soon.
Yeah. So the last thing that we wanted to mention really quick is accountability, because right now we're chatting and it's like, okay, I'm excited, I'm going to do this. But a lot of times it is hard to hold yourself accountable when you get into the real world, right? So Peter and I, we live this lifestyle. When you're in the Facebook group, it's like, oh, awesome. Like I'm going to get so healthy. I'm going to do this. But then when you go out into the real world with, your family or friends, they might not be eating the same way that you do, right? So they might have the box of crackers, they might have the chocolate, and that can be hard. So we just wanted to say that, we believe in you guys and we don't think you're like everybody else. And we want you to stay inspired and really have someone in your corner. I bet all of your friends and family aren't watching a training right now on how to cut out processed foods. So,
So basically we are today inviting you into our corner, because we just started, kind of launched today, a new Lifestylers Mastermind program. And this is going to be kind of like group coaching style. And this is a way to help you more in depth, more one-on-one, and really connect. Because there's really only so much that we can do inside of our free Facebook group. So, I mean, kind of like the number one thing I can think here is that like we really want to help you quit failing. We want to help you work through those issues that you've been struggling with, and maybe even getting you off of those processed foods that you've become really dependent on, and you're just having a really hard kicking, or helping you in the planning department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, planning is so huge, and having support there is really helpful. Another thing is affordable coaching. So I know a lot of you have reached out about doing one-on-one coaching and having it be out of your price range. This is a great way to get affordable coaching, and it's ongoing. So if you've done a diet revamp and you feel like you still need help, you're not quite there yet, and you want something that's ongoing, I definitely recommend the Mastermind for this.
Yeah. And I think one of like the other really amazing things about a program like this is the accountability and just having a support team. Because when you are investing in yourself, kind of like every month, this program starting out is going to be $20 a month. It changes everything. You're going to be way more likely to stick to a plan when you know you're going to have to tell either like your coach or your group about it.
For sure. We're definitely going to hold you guys accountable. You better believe that. And we're the same way with our coach. Like, we get way more done when we are checking in each week. Okay, so before we get to the questions, I just wanted to say that this mastermind is something I've been dreaming up for so long. And I really only want you to join if you're positive, because I want this group to be super friendly and helpful, like our Facebook group, but more tight-knit. I only want you to join if you're willing to support others, and if you're going to be honest, because we can only help you if you're honest and open. And Peter and I were non-judgmental, and I don't want anybody else who's going to judge in the mastermind. So if you want to hang out with us each week, you can check out the Lifestylers Mastermind.
Yeah. So we encourage you to come over and learn more about this exciting new program. And we really are like super excited about it. And we can't wait to work with you. Head on over to theseasonaldiet.com/yes. And it'll take you right to a page where you can learn more about it and see if this is a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's $20 a month, and we're also including an additional program of your choice, either the 21-day seasonal meal planning solution, which we just launched a couple weeks ago. We're still really amped about that. That turned out really well, and we've had a lot of great feedback. And then also, you could alternatively get, if you have already gotten that program, then you can also get the weight loss that lasts 30-day program instead.
Awesome. So we hope you guys check that out. And if it's a good fit, join us. I did personally invite a few of you already because I appreciate you a lot, and I think you would be a great fit for it. So check that out. Let us know. We have some questions. Keep the questions coming. We are going to switch over so you can see our faces again and answer some of these questions.
Okay, let's see here.
We're back.
Okay, there we are.
You want to share the screen? I can share with you.
Come on in here.
All right, guys. So let's see. The first question was from me doing a test.
Okay, yes.
The second question is, what processed foods are okay to eat? So that's a tough one. Hopefully, going through it, you got some answers to that question. But for Peter and I, we eat tortillas. So those are brown rice tortillas. Sometimes we eat corn tortillas. If we do eat corn tortillas, then those only have sprouted corn in them and water, sometimes lime. They're always organic and sprouted. It makes it easier to digest. We don't eat any gluten, so we avoid wheat, and we also try to avoid, we do avoid white flours, white rice, potatoes. What else? That's kind of it. When it comes to energy bars, Peter mentioned Lar bars. I know a lot of people are like, those have a lot of sugar in them, which they do. However, they are made from dates. That's where the sweetener comes from. So it's a whole food. So it's not going to spike your blood sugar like something like that was like a bar that was sweetened with cane juice or something like that.
Yeah, because it's got the fiber in it.
What other processed foods, babe, would you say is okay to eat?
Well, we eat a lot of hummus.
And you can make your own hummus. We have a recipe on the seasonaldiet.com. The reason we've been eating a lot of hummus is my fault. So at the farmer's market, there's this guy, I should know his name. He sells this hummus called Baba Foods, and he's so nice, and his hummus tastes so good and authentic, and it's made with really great oil. So it's olive oil, which a lot of times you don't see that. And it's just, and it has tahini, and I love tahini if you know me. So I'm kind of hooked and I like him. So we've been buying hummus a lot. That's true. We buy beans occasionally, but we make sure that it is, BPA free, the can, it will usually say on it. And it just has, salt and water. We even have one that has some seaweed in it because that helps with the digestion of the beans. But you can also cook your own beans. And we have a post that you did on how to cook your own beans on the seasonal diet also. Yes.
We also eat like granola.
Oh, yeah. I'm really bad at making granola.
Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things where, we probably have granola, I don't know, maybe like once a month. We used to get this superfood cereal.
It's really good.
I think it was made by Living Intentions.
It is, yes.
We got kind of burned out on it, but the cacao crunch was amazing.
It's really good. It's kind of expensive. It's like $12 a bag.
I think it's only like $8. It's like $8 a bag.
Okay, $8 a bag. But it is raw, which is great. So raw means that it's going to be easier to digest. It's going to have those enzymes, and it has superfood. So it's going to give you a lot of energy. And it was sweetened with, if I remember correctly, coconut sugar, which is a low glycemic sweetener, and then raisins and dates. So more whole food sweeteners.
It's one of those processed foods that like, it's almost like we think it kind of like surpasses a little bit, even just like going like whole foods, because it had so many superfoods. It was all organic. It was raw. It was sprouted, like the buckwheat was sprouted.
Not like it was, it still is. You guys can still get it.
No,
it's
totally.
It's really good.
Yeah.
A lot of times Whole Foods sells it in the bulk department also. So you can try a little bit.
Yeah. Other processed foods?
We use sriracha. We use the organic sriracha.
We
both really like spicy foods.
Dijon mustard.
And you can make mustard yourself too. I'd be happy to share a recipe. At the end of the day though, there are some big things, right, that you should be making yourself, like almond milk, like we talked about, and salad dressings you should be making yourself. We have a lot of salad dressing recipes. And desserts, that's a big one.
That's a huge one.
If you're going to eat dessert, make them yourself. Even if they're not as healthy, even if they're not vegan and they're not gluten-free, they're going to be so much healthier than the things you buy at the grocery store. So those are like the big ones that I highly recommend you make yourself.
Yeah. All right. What other questions we got in here? How long does the almond milk stay good in the fridge when you make your own? I would say like 5 days, maybe like 5 to 7 days.
I would say a week, definitely.
We so the recipe that we're going to be sharing is going to be, we use raw almonds, and we get them at the farmer's market. The ones at the store, they say raw, but they're actually pasteurized. So we prefer to get them at the market. If that's an option for you, you could do the same. And we sprout them overnight, up to like 12 hours, and then we make the milk.
So they're soaked.
Yes. And I think that any longer than a week would probably be too long. Yeah. Because right around a week, it's kind of like, we usually finish it by then.
We always finish it, yeah.
Yeah, we usually finish it in like 3 days or 4 days.
So did you say it makes about 5 cups of milk?
No, I didn't.
It makes about 5 cups of milk. And you'll notice when you make it that it starts to separate. That's totally normal because there's nothing to hold it together, no crap, which is good. So you'll just need to shake it up and it will be fine. So yes, I would say 7 days. After that, cut it loose. And you guys, something that I haven't made it in a while, but something that you can make is chocolate almond milk, and it is so delicious. So you just add the recipe we're going to give you. You just add 2 to 3 dates, depending on how sweet you're used to eating things, and then cacao powder, which is raw cocoa. So it's going to have more nutrients and enzymes in it. Add, how much to add? 4 tablespoons. 4 tablespoons of cacao powder and 3 dates, and blend that up and strain it. It's so delicious.
Oh, it's been a while since we've made that.
I know we should make some.
All right. You take the next one.
Okay. I'm trying to help my husband too. Hard for truckers to eat healthy on the road. He doesn't have food allergies like I do. We're both struggling to lose weight. Okay, that's a good one. So, when your husband first sets off, on the road, when he leaves home, set him up with a green smoothie. That's awesome. It can be on the go. You can get a tumbler. So what a tumbler is, it just has a lid and a straw. You can drink it on the way. It fits in your cup holder. That's kind of like our go-to, like just anytime you're going to be in the car for a long time, just make a green smoothie and bring it with you, because that's one thing that you're going to be doing for your health that you can't lose by doing that. Another great idea is to make some muffins. So we have some healthy muffins on our website, and have him bring those with too. Trail mix is great. What else, babe? Help me out here. To bring with.
What about making like overnight oats?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's like a good on the go kind of a thing too. Really simple.
So it's pretty much just oatmeal that you can eat cold. You make it the night before and it really soaks in. Steel cut oats are great. They're a little bit more hearty. You can also do buckwheat. It's high in protein. And then just getting lots of water in too, right? When you're on the road. I know a lot of people are like, I'm in the car, I don't have access to water. Bring the water with you. Peter and I, when we're on long road trips, we'll bring a gallon, sometimes 2 gallons of water with us, because that is no excuse. Some people will tell me, well, I don't want to stop to go to the bathroom. And that's craziness. Like, you can't make your body suffer because you don't want to stop. Like, it's natural to stop and have to go to the bathroom. It's a good sign. It means you're taking care of yourself. So, was that Annie? Set your husband up for success. Send him with water, make him a green smoothie. All those things are going to help. Peter and I, for weight loss, we highly recommend starting your day with greens. So green smoothie or green juice, cutting out the dairy, right? So switching from cow's milk to almond milk, cutting out the cheese, and then cutting back on the processed foods, right? So eating less processed foods. Those 3 things are going to be great for weight loss.
Okay, what else do we got here?
Any ideas to how to make homemade hummus so that it turns out smooth and creamy like in the store ones? I tried making it. The garbanzo bean skins from home cooked beans made my hummus really textured and fibery. So you can take off the skins, Sarah. When you cook them down, it's tedious. I'm not gonna lie.
We've done it a couple times.
It's tedious. You can take off the skins. And another big secret that I've learned from being connected to some friends who are from Lebanon is olive oil, a lot of olive oil. And the thing about it is, when you buy processed foods, you don't know how much they're putting into it. So a big thing for me is I'll get recipes online, and if someone was to make the recipe for me, I'd eat it and I'd think it was really great. But when it comes time for me to actually make it and I see that it's asking for a cup of oil, I just can't, right? Because I know what it's doing to my health. And so a lot of the really creamy hummuses, they have a lot more oil than you're comfortable putting in. So step 1, peel off those skins one by one with your finger. They will come off. And then add more oil.
I think that's an important side note. Is that, like, with any recipe, if you don't feel comfortable adding all the sugar, all the oil, like, you don't have to. Like, the recipes, it's going to be fine. It's going to be totally edible. It's still going to taste really good. Like, don't shy away from experimenting with that. The second thing that I wanted to mention is, what about the ice cube trick, Sarah?
So
adding ice cubes to your hummus when you're making it.
It's kind of weird, but I was hired to write a post on hummus. So I've actually done a lot of research on hummus and what makes good hummus. And one trick that I tested out was adding an ice cube. It doesn't make it creamier, but the real thing is it makes it lighter. So it's better for presentation. So if you're serving that at a party, the color will pop a lot more. So that's a tip for that. Okay. Also, having like a good food processor and a blender and just blending it for a really long time. Another trick is adding a little bit of water that you cooked your beans in. Cooking your beans from scratch, that also helps.
Mm-hmm. All right. Final question. What do you keep on hand for under 20
Wait,
minute
you skipped one.
dinners? Oh, well, maybe we'll do this one and then we go back.
Okay.
What do you keep on hand for under 20-minute dinners? Tonight, we have a busy night. We're doing a webinar. So we have an under 20-minute dinner. We are doing wraps tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're doing them with hummus.
Nope.
What are we doing them with?
So we're doing like Mexican style. So we have wraps and we're going to do beans and salsa and lettuce and tomatoes and all of that stuff.
Okay. Well, for sure, it's going to be under 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's going to be quick.
So the thing with quick dinners is, number one is the more you cook, the faster it gets, right? So Peter and I always tease that we should do a video of us in the kitchen because we're like ninjas in there. When we get in there, when we get in there, we go to work. We divide and conquer. And also we do order of operations. So whatever takes the longest, you want to start that first. If you're making rice, if you're making sweet potatoes, you want to get that going first.
Because you'll be eating sooner.
Yeah. So quick dinners when you don't want to eat freezer food would be wraps. We like brown rice wraps like we're having tonight with like beans and Mexican style. You just heat the wraps, heat the beans, throw in some veggies, salsa, hot sauce, avocado. You can also do it with hummus like Peter said. So wraps, hummus. You can do like bell peppers, tomatoes, any kind of vegetables. Super easy, filling. What else, babe?
Going on that specific meal?
No, new meal.
You could do salad.
Yeah, we did a salad last night. And we did tempeh, so you can cook tempeh in a pan really easily, like 5 minutes. And then quinoa. Quinoa takes, if you get sprouted quinoa, they make a sprouted quinoa. It takes 15 minutes. So you can do quinoa and greens, like a grain bowl. It's really easy.
Bowl. Yes. It's another really popular
What's a grain
choice.
bowl if they don't know what a grain bowl is?
Grain bowl, I would say it's like grain based. So we usually use like brown rice or quinoa, and that's kind of like we build a bowl out of that. Maybe we put like some baked tofu on top, or just grilled veggies on top, and then we usually do some kind of like a creamy dressing to finish it off.
I really like the Caesar tahini. It's on our site. It's like my favorite.
Caesar tahini. We just had it last night with we grilled up some tempeh with lots of seasonings, but then it was kind of like a grain bowl.
There's no grains. It was sweet potato.
Oh, that was sweet potato.
So sweet potato, that's one thing. So one hack, right, to cooking things faster is if you have an old school oven like we do, we're renting an apartment in Carlsbad. So our kitchen is tiny. We have an old school oven. One way to heat it up quickly is turn it to broil, right? So if you turn it to broil, it will heat up a lot faster. And then you can chop sweet potatoes and toss them in some olive oil or coconut oil, put some seasonings on them, and then put them in the pan.
She's over here like whacking me.
And you can leave it on broil. So leave it on broil for 5 minutes. It'll heat it up real quick. Take it out, rotate them, put it back in on broil. You can have sweet potatoes cooked in like 10 to 15 minutes. It's kind of a trick.
Yeah.
You have to be careful though because you can burn them.
Yeah, gotta be careful with the broil. Gotta be on it. Always set a timer.
Yeah, so those are some ideas. Salads are quick too.
Yeah.
And we always talk about batch cooking. If you cook grains ahead of time, you cook beans ahead of time, you make hummus ahead of time, you can put those together in a meal. And
there's a whole lot more ideas that we have that we are just like not thinking of at the moment.
We'll save those for the Mastermind if you join us.
Just know there's a lot more options than having to pull something out of your freezer or making spaghetti to have dinner ready in 20.
Spaghetti is fast, though.
It is fast, but maybe not every week.
Not a lot of nutrients.
Cool.
Glad you liked it. Okay, so that was there. Oh, I guess that was kind of the same. What's your favorite make-ahead meals that you can keep in the freezer?
That you can keep in the freezer.
We don't do a lot of those, to be completely honest.
Of those, yeah.
But one thing is enchiladas. enchiladas are great that you can make ahead and keep in the freezer. I love those. You can do soup too, like tortilla soup or sweet potato soup. I've done that before.
We get asked this question a lot, and we don't personally do it that much, but I think like in the future we could do another webinar or session on just specifically like freezer stuff, because we'll have to kind of like get into that mode, but like we can totally help you with that in the future.
For sure. One of the big reasons that we don't do a lot of that is because it's really important that you get a good balance of fresh foods into your diet. And a lot of times, you know, freezer foods, they're not as healthy as fresh food, right? And especially since here, I know everybody's kind of in a different spot, but if you're going into summer, you know, we practice the seasonal diet. So eating what's currently growing, that's one part of eating a seasonal diet. But the other part of eating a seasonal diet is eating according to how the weather is where you are. So when it's summer, you're going to want to eat more raw, more fresh foods. If it's hotter outside, you want to be cooler inside. If it's colder outside, you want to be warmer inside. So there's that.
It's the seasonal diet.
All right, you guys, I think that's a wrap.
Yes, that looks really good. I'm just going to check our little chat box real quick.
I think that's good.
If I
doesn't know where it is. Well, I'm just going to say thank you for joining us so much. We're going to send you guys the recipes tomorrow. If you're not in our Facebook group, you can join that. And then if you want to join our mastermind, or if you just want to learn more about it, it's theseasonaldiet.com/yes, and you can learn more about it there.
All right, just finished in a little under an hour. So yeah, hope you have a wonderful Thursday, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.